Okay? There was a question, actually, that one of our members brought and asked me to tell you about nephilims, if you have ever heard the term.
Who?
Okay? Nephilims. That's the giants that we find in the book of Genesis chapter 6. Okay? So before we'll go into Exodus, let's have 5 minutes, really short, what's going on there. Okay, in Genesis 6, 1 through 8. There is a wonderful story that the daughters of man got together with sons of God, and they produced those giants. Okay. So the question is, who are the sons of God? Because daughters of man is kind of understandable, it's you girls. Who are the sons of God? And very prominent, not dominant, but very prominent idea is that it is angels. And how do we know, or where people get this idea from? First of all, they go to the book of Job. In chapters 1 and 2, we are not going to go there. We're not going to spend time, but just trust me. There is a gathering of beings around the throne of God, and it is said that the sons of God came there. And one of them was Satan, by the way. Satan himself. And since we believe that Satan is an angelic being, okay, therefore, not all the angelic beings are good. So if you have anybody with the wings, even white wings, not necessarily it's a good person. You might want to be careful. There are a few things we might have, when we will done with that, we might have some special thing on angels, but that's a different story. So this is one idea, okay? In Hebrew, what it says is Bnei Elohim. I know you know it, but, since you read it in Hebrew every day. But just to remind you, okay? So, Bnei Elohim. So the thing is, Elohim might mean God, one true God. But the problem with this idea, with angels, so, 1, 2, 3. So we'll have 3 interpretations. One is angels. The main problem with angels is, according to other passages of the Bible, they do not really have body. And they cannot get into intimate relationship with anybody. Okay? People can be driven into inappropriate relationship by demonic influence, but it's not going to be an intimate relationship with that demonic being. It will be one way or another perverted and inappropriate. Okay? There is another idea. Idea number 2 is Elohim stands, actually, the word Elohim itself. We usually translate it as God, but we also can equally plausible to translate it as higher forces, not necessarily higher, stronger forces or stronger beings. So anybody or anything which is stronger than you are, that you can or will submit to, is your Elohim. Okay? For example, in the book of Exodus that we are going to read in chapter 7, God says to Moses, "You gonna be God to Pharaoh, and Aaron will be your prophet." And it uses the very same word. Okay? So it's sons of power, let's put it this way. Okay? Those who have some authority in the society. Okay? So word Elohim is not always used for a divine being. Unlike Yahweh, which is personal name of God. There is a third interpretation. It's the sons of God in the sense that this is the godly people. Okay? That's the believers. And I think we need to take this passage as an interpretation for this passage as either combination of those two or just this one. If you go into Romans 8, that's the whole buildup of Paul's theology in Romans 8. We are the sons of God. He even uses the term. Okay? So I believe when we are the sons of God, therefore we have influence in the society. So how do we read Genesis 6 in that context? We need to understand that Genesis 6 actually begins in Genesis 5:1. It's the beginning of the story. If you have your notes on Genesis, look at the chart with toledots. So the second chart, the second line of the second toledot that we have is the toledot of Adam. Okay? That's the whole chapter. If you take this out of the context, okay, you do not understand it. But the thing is, what begins in chapter 1 is the genealogy of Adam through another son, through Seth. Okay? So that's the genealogy of godly guys. So they were getting together with daughters of Cain lineage. Okay? And so therefore you have faithful guys on one hand and girls from unbelieving families, and that brought a disaster. So if you take it right, this is the great passage that teaches that marriage is very important, and we need to pay very close attention to whom our boys and girls marry. I've heard many times, oh, I love her so much, so we will marry and I will convert her. In my life experience, and in the life experience of all the people that I know and all the books I've read, never happens. What happens is the godly person will be converted and slided out. Okay? So it's like unicorns. Do I believe in unicorns? Yes, I do believe in unicorns, honestly. Have I ever seen one? No. So if you'll find one, please bring, we'll examine, we'll treat it right, everything will be fine. So if you'll know the story that a godly person married somebody, and through the marriage, not before the marriage, I'm not talking about bringing to Bible study and so on and so forth, but through the marriage, there was a conversion, tell me. I'll be happy to hear it. But if we do simple stat, I can come up with like thousands and thousands of stories. And usually people kind of like try to pull the ace out of the pocket and says, what about 1 Corinthians? I believe the passage in 1 Corinthians when it talks about faithful spouse and unfaithful and unbelieving spouse is applicable to the case where people are already in the marriage. Okay? So you have two people living together, they are married, social, whatever. One comes to faith, and another one stays not. So it's not the reason for divorce as long as unbelieving spouse would like to maintain the relationship. Yes, sure.
These they were not divine beings, right? They were sinful people. Like
they were so sinful that that the result of their sinful behavior was everything resulted in the flood.
But they weren't divine. They weren't above.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, and people will come up with some other sources to bring it up, but it's all unbiblical sources. So within the Bible, it is possible interpretation, but very unlikely for this particular case. For other reasons, for those reasons, and one simple thing, again, I don't know how you can have sex. Oh, did I say it? Okay, sorry. With angelic being.
Oh.
However pretty she, I would assume, because it's daughters of, so daughter of, no, it would be he, however pretty he or handsome he would be. They just angelic. I mean, they have, spiritual...